Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something today. When he reaches out after all that silence, after leaving you hanging, after making you question your worth, that moment right there is not your cue to jump. It is your cue to think. Because silence teaches lessons that words never could. And when someone reappears after disappearing, that moment becomes a test of how much you've grown since they left. Now listen closely. The very first thing you must do when he reaches out after all that silence is simple, but it's powerful. Stay calm. You cannot, and I repeat, cannot let your emotions run the show in that moment. Because emotions, if left unchecked, will drive you straight back into the same storm you finally found peace from. Emotions will have you texting back too fast. Emotions will have you picking up that phone before you even ask yourself if that's really what's best for you. Emotions will make you forget all those nights you cried, all those mornings you woke up hoping for closure, and all those days you felt like you weren't enough. But just because his name pops up on your screen doesn't mean your heart has to lose its balance. You have to pause. You have to breathe. You have to get still. Because that message, that call, that "Hey stranger" text, it's not just a message. It's a mirror reflecting who you've become while he was gone. It's a test to see whether you've learned your worth or if you're still willing to hand it away for attention. And you can't pass that test if your feelings are running wild. You pass it when you respond from calmness, from power, from the version of you that knows peace is more valuable than temporary excitement. See, calmness isn't weakness. Calmness is control. Calmness is when your soul whispers, "I remember who I am," because when you stay calm, you send a message louder than any words you could text back. I am not desperate for your attention. I am devoted to my peace. Now I know what you're thinking. I know it feels good when he finally reaches out. It feels like relief, like the wait is over, like maybe, just maybe, your prayers have been answered. You start thinking, maybe he missed me. Maybe he realized I was the one. But hold on, Queen, slow down. Don't let your mind start writing a love story before you even know what genre it's in. Because sometimes people come back not because they value you, but because they see you moved on. They see you shining without them, and they just want to see if they still have access. And that's where your calmness becomes your strength. Because when you're calm, you can see clearly. You can see that not every return is a redemption. Some are just reminders. Some are there to test your growth, to see if you'll still open the same door that once led to heartbreak. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." That quote right there is gold. Because if you don't bring awareness to your emotions in moments like these, you'll keep calling back the same kind of pain and calling it destiny. Awareness breaks the pattern. So when that text comes through, when that call lights up your phone, I want you to wait. Let it sit there. Go take a walk. Go breathe. Go pray. Go journal. Do anything but react right away. Give your emotions time to cool down. Because when your heart settles, your mind becomes clear. And when your mind is clear, you don't make choices that break your peace. You make choices that protect it. Ladies and gentlemen, I've seen too many people fall into the same trap because they answered too fast. Because they let that spark of hope override all the truth they already knew. They forgot what silence had taught them. Don't be one of them. You are not waiting for someone to validate you. You are not sitting on pause, hoping someone finally sees your value. You are already enough, right here, right now, whether that person reaches out or not. And when you respond from that truth, from that self-respect, you send a powerful message, not just to them, but to yourself. You say, "My feelings matter, but my peace is sacred." So let him wait. Let him feel the silence for once. Because you felt it long enough. Let the quiet teach him what you already learned, that peace is power. And that access to your heart is not a right, it's a privilege. Now let's go deeper. When someone reappears after silence, you have to look beyond the surface. You can't just focus on the fact that he called, you have to look at the why. Because not every "hey, how have you been?" is a real attempt to make things right. Sometimes it's habit, sometimes it's loneliness, sometimes it's ego, and sometimes it's a test to see if he still has the same control over you. So pause and ask yourself, why now? What's different this time? What's his motive? Carl Jung once said, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul." That means sometimes a person will reach out not to reconnect with you, but to avoid. Sitting with the guilt, the regret, the discomfort of what they did. You can't heal their soul for them. Maybe things didn't work out somewhere else. Maybe he's bored. Maybe he's lonely. And yes, maybe he genuinely realized he messed up and wants to make it right. But you will never know which it is if you're too busy reacting instead of observing. You've got to observe. Watch the patterns. Watch the tone. Watch the consistency. Because words are easy, but energy never lies. A person who truly means it won't need to rush you. They'll respect your space, your silence, your boundaries. But a person who just wants convenience will get frustrated when you don't respond right away. That's your clue. That's your red flag waving right in front of you. Remember this, real effort is steady. Real intention is consistent. Real love is patient. You don't need to chase it. You don't need to beg for it. You just need to make space for it and stand firm in your standards until it shows up. Carl Jung said it best. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes. The awakening happens when you realize that love doesn't begin when someone comes back. It begins when you stop abandoning yourself. So ladies and gentlemen, when he reaches out after all that silence, don't just ask what he wants. Ask what you want. Ask if this moment aligns with the peace you've built. Ask if responding serves your healing or disrupts it. Because calmness is where your power lives. That stillness inside you, that quiet confidence, that's the version of you that makes the right decisions. So stay calm. Let the phone ring. Let the text come in. Let the world spin. But you stay still. Because that stillness is your crown. That stillness is your protection. And that stillness is your strength. Ladies and gentlemen, let's keep going. Because once you've found your calm, once you've claimed that silence as your strength, there's something else you've got to do. You have to assess intention. You have to look deeper than the message, deeper than the tone, deeper than the nostalgia that tries to pull you back in. Because if you don't check intention, emotion will trick you into repeating the same lesson twice. When he reaches out, your heart might whisper, maybe this is different. But wisdom will remind you, it only becomes different when the behavior changes. Words without consistency are just sound. You've got to see what stands behind the sound. Ask yourself, why now? Why after all that time of silence? What is he really looking for? Is it closure? Is it comfort? Or is it convenience? You have every right to know, because closure without accountability is manipulation. Comfort without commitment is confusion. And convenience, well, that's not love, that's access. You deserve more than access. You deserve intention. You deserve effort. You deserve a love that's consistent on quiet days and not just when it's convenient to care. Now let's be real. Sometimes people come back because something in their life fell apart. Maybe the new person didn't work out. Maybe the attention they were chasing didn't fill the emptiness. Maybe the silence became too heavy for them to carry. But don't mistake regret for readiness. Don't confuse loneliness with love. Because love is not built on absence and return. Love is built on presence and consistency. And if he couldn't be present when you needed him the most, you have to ask yourself what's really changed. You see, a man, or anyone for that matter, can say all the right things. They can talk about missing you, about thinking of you, about realizing how much you meant to them. But here's the truth. Words are only the echo of intention, not the proof of it. The proof comes in the doing. The proof comes in the showing. So before you believe what he says, watch what he does. Does he ask about how you've been, or does he only talk about himself? Does he take accountability for his silence, or does he dance around it? Does he ask what you need, or does he only focus on getting your attention again? Those small details, they tell you everything. Because when someone's intention is real, they don't rush you. They don't pressure you. They don't guilt you for needing time. They respect the fact that healing takes space, and they are willing to earn back what they once took for granted. But when the intention is shallow, you'll feel it. The conversation will feel light, but not in a good way. It'll feel empty, like something's missing. Like you're the only one trying to make it mean something. And that feeling, that's your spirit warning you. Listen to it, because your intuition knows long before your heart catches up. That little nudge in your gut, that hesitation in your chest. That's wisdom disguised as discomfort. Don't silence it, and let me remind you of this powerful truth. You do not owe anyone access to your peace just because they once had access to your heart, the version of you that tolerated. The silence is not the version of you that exists today. You've grown, you've healed, you've changed, and if he hasn't done the same, the conversation will always be uneven. Ladies and gentlemen, I've seen too many people mistake reappearance for redemption. Just because someone came back doesn't mean they came back right. Sometimes people return not because they're ready, but because they're restless. They want comfort, but not commitment. They want to be remembered, but not responsible. They want to feel close, but not consistent. You have to separate emotion from evaluation. Emotion says, he's back. Maybe this means something. Evaluation says, let's see what his actions reveal. And that's where your strength lies, in your ability to observe without overinvesting, in your ability to stand back and let the truth reveal itself instead of forcing it into a fairy tale. You see, when you stop chasing clarity and start allowing behavior to speak, you save yourself from confusion, because confusion only exists when your heart wants to believe what your eyes can already see isn't real. Now, there's something powerful about stillness when it meets discernment. When you're calm and observant, you start to see patterns for what they are, not what you hope they'll become. You realize that consistency is not built overnight. It's proven over time. Carl Jung once said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." And that's what you must look for. Transformation. Has this person grown? Have they evolved? Has the silence taught them what it taught you? Because if not, the reaction will be the same. It'll just come with new words and the same old pain. And I need you to remember something, Queen. When someone truly values you, you won't have to wonder if they do. You won't have to decode mixed messages or overanalyze late replies. They'll make their intention known, and their consistency will confirm it. So when he reaches out, don't just listen to his words. Listen to his tone. Listen to the pauses between the sentences. Listen to how he responds when you take your time. Because people who respect you don't rush your process. If he gets impatient, if he acts like your caution is a problem, if he pulls back the moment you ask for clarity, that's not love, that's ego. That's someone who's more concerned about regaining control than rebuilding trust. Real love doesn't demand, it earns. Real love doesn't pressure, it proves. Real love doesn't confuse, it clarifies. So don't let your hope blur your boundaries. Hope is beautiful, but hope without wisdom can be dangerous. You can hope for the best and still prepare for the truth. Your silence has power, your hesitation has meaning, and your peace is the evidence of your growth. So if you feel that temptation rising to text back right away, take another breath. Take another step back. Let the excitement settle, because every second you wait, you give yourself time to see clearly. And clarity, ladies and gentlemen, is everything. Because when you can see clearly, you stop asking, why did he come back? And start asking, do I even want him here? That's the shift. That's the evolution. That's the moment you move from reaction to reflection. And reflection is where your real power lives. So as you sit with that message, that call, that unexpected hey, I want you to remember, it's not about what he says next, it's about what you do next. Your next move defines your growth. Your next move defines your standards. Your next move tells the world whether you've learned to love yourself enough to protect your peace before protecting someone's presence. Because you, my friend, are not the same person who once waited by the phone. You are wiser now. You are calmer now. And calmness is not just peace, it's power disguised as grace. Ladies and gentlemen, now that you understand how to see through words and measure intention, let's talk about something even more important. Self-respect and boundaries. Because these two are not accessories to your healing. They are the armor that protects it. Without them, even the strongest heart can end up right back in the same cycle of pain. When someone reappears after vanishing, your self-respect should be the first thing standing guard. Before the memories, before the butterflies, before the hope. Self-respect is that inner voice that says, I remember what silence felt like, and I will not forget it just because the noise returned. You see, when people disappear without reason, they teach you something, how to live without them. And when they come back, it's your responsibility to decide whether that lesson stays learned or gets erased. Self-respect means you don't let a moment of attention erase months of absence. It means you don't let flattering words make you forget the empty spaces they left behind. It's standing tall in the truth that you are enough, whether someone reaches out or not. Because the moment you start treating your self-worth like it's negotiable, you'll find yourself discounting your own peace to keep temporary company. And that, my friends, is too high a price. Boundaries, on the other hand, are the rules that protect your peace. They're not walls built out of fear. They're fences built out of wisdom. Boundaries say, if you want access to me again, you have to come correct. You have to show accountability, consistency, and genuine effort. You'd be amazed how many people test your boundaries not because they want you, but because they want to see if they can still bend you. Don't let them. Every time you bend a boundary just to keep someone around, a piece of your confidence gets chipped away. You might think it's harmless at first, answering that call, replying to that text, agreeing to just catch up, but those little cracks eventually become open doors. And once those doors swing open, old patterns walk right back in wearing new excuses. Self-respect means locking those doors until actions match words. Boundaries mean you decide the pace, the tone, and the depth of any conversation. You decide when to speak and when to stay silent. You decide what energy enters your space. Now let me tell you something powerful. A person who truly values you will respect your boundaries without complaint. They won't call you difficult for protecting your peace. They won't guilt trip you for taking your time. They will understand that your caution isn't rejection, it's reflection. Because you're not punishing anyone by being careful. You're honoring yourself by being wise. The wrong ones will get frustrated. The right ones will be patient. If he reaches out and gets defensive when you don't respond immediately, that's your sign that his intentions are shallow. But if he's patient, if he respects your process, if he's willing to wait and prove through consistency that he's changed, then maybe, just maybe, he's worth listening to. But even then, you still lead with self-respect. You don't hand over forgiveness as an entry pass. You observe, you evaluate, you stay steady, because self-respect is not pride, it's preservation. Let's be honest, there's a dangerous myth that says if you love someone, you should always give them another chance. But love without boundaries isn't love, it's sacrifice. It's you shrinking so someone else can fit comfortably inside your life without earning it. Real love honors limits. Real love doesn't want you to compromise your peace to prove your care. You are allowed to say, I forgive you, but I'm not ready to let you back in. You are allowed to say, I wish you well, but my peace is more important. You are allowed to say nothing at all. Carl Jung once said, there is no coming to consciousness without pain. And that's exactly what this moment is, a consciousness awakening. It hurts to realize that someone you once wanted so badly may no longer deserve access to you. But that pain is not punishment, it's progress. It's the part of you that's waking up to your worth. So when he reaches out, let your self-respect speak before your emotions do. Let your boundaries stand firm before your feelings start to sway. Because here's the truth. People will only treat you as well as you require them to. If you make it easy for someone to come and go as they please, they will. But when you stand firm on your standards, when you make peace your priority, you change the rhythm of every relationship around you. That's when the world starts treating you differently because you've started treating yourself differently. Your peace is not a bargain. Your heart is not a playground. Your energy is not an open invitation. If someone wants access to you again, they have to show growth, not just nostalgia. And growth looks like accountability. It looks like patience. It looks like consistency. If he's really changed, he'll prove it. Not through grand promises, but through steady action. He'll respect the distance you create. Because he understands it's not rejection, it's responsibility. But if his interest fades the moment you stop giving instant access, then you've just received your answer. That wasn't love, it was convenience. and convenience will always collapse under the weight of your worth. So stand tall in your standards, hold firm in your boundaries. Let your self-respect be louder than your loneliness. Because here's something you must know. Loneliness is temporary, but losing yourself is permanent. You can heal loneliness. You can outgrow silence. But if you abandon your self-respect, rebuilding that takes years. So don't let anyone rush you out of your healing just because they suddenly remembered your name. Take your time. Listen to your intuition. Trust what silence already taught you. Because when your boundaries are clear, your peace becomes unshakable. And when your peace is unshakable, no message, no call, no reappearance can disrupt your center. You've worked too hard to find that peace. You've cried too many tears to earn it. Don't give it up easily just because someone realized too late what they had. Stand in your stillness. Let your silence do the talking. Let your calmness speak volumes, because in that stillness lives your wisdom. In that silence lives your strength. And in that strength lives the version of you that no longer chases, no longer pleads, no longer lowers her worth just to feel seen. That's self-respect. That's power. That's peace. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the energy that will carry you into every next chapter of your life. Ladies and gentlemen, now that your self-respect stands tall and your boundaries are firm, let's talk about the final and most powerful move you can make, the art of taking your time. Because the moment he reaches out after all that silence, your timing becomes your message. The way you respond, the pace you move, the patience you show. That's what tells the world, I am no longer ruled by impulse. I move with intention. You see, too many people lose their power, not because they don't know their worth, but because they rush. They rush to respond, rush to forgive, rush to believe. But peace doesn't live in rushing. Peace lives in patience. And the person who controls their timing controls their story. When he reaches out, don't let excitement, surprise, or anger push you into reacting right away. Your first impulse is your emotion talking, not your wisdom. And in moments like this, wisdom must lead. Because when you rush to reply, you teach him something that might come back to hurt you. You teach him that no matter how long he disappears, he can still get your attention in an instant. That, my friends, gives your power away. But when you take your time, when you pause, before you answer, you shift the energy completely. You show that your life doesn't orbit around someone else's timing. You show that you've built something stronger than attachment. You've built peace. Taking your time doesn't mean you're playing games. It means you're honoring yourself. It means you're checking in with your heart before you open it again. Ask yourself, how do I really feel hearing from him? Am I ready to have this conversation, or do I need more time? What do I want out of this exchange, and what am I no longer willing to tolerate? You can't answer those questions clearly if you're reacting. You need stillness for that. You need that space between impulse and action where truth has room to breathe. Because sometimes what you feel first isn't what you really feel. It's just the echo of the past. Taking your time gives your clarity the chance to catch up to your emotion. It gives your wisdom the space to speak. And that is where your power lives, not in speed, but in stillness. Don't underestimate the power of silence. Just because he broke his silence doesn't mean you have to break yours right away. Let your silence work for you. Let it speak for you. Your silence says, I'm not waiting for you. I'm choosing me. Silence is not weakness. It's strategy. It's self-control wrapped in grace. It's the calm voice of someone who knows her value and doesn't need to prove it through instant reaction. And remember this, if his intentions are real, he will still be there when you're ready to reply. Genuine effort does not vanish when met with patience. Real men, real women, real love, they understand that healing has a pace and that peace cannot be rushed. If he gets frustrated because you took time, that's your answer right there. That's not love. That's entitlement. That's someone who's not coming back to build something healthy, but to reclaim control. But if he respects your timing, if he stays consistent without pressuring you, if he shows up not just once, but steadily, that's when you know there might be something real behind the words. Because people who mean well are not afraid of your boundaries. They are grateful for them. Ladies and gentlemen, This is what emotional maturity looks like. Choosing peace over panic, wisdom over impulse, and clarity over chaos. Hope is beautiful, yes, but hope without patience becomes desperation. And desperation always speaks too soon. You don't need to prove that you care. You don't need to rush to show that you're still open. The one who truly values you will feel your energy, even in your silence. Carl Jung once said, "What you resist persists." And that applies here too. The more you resist the urge to react, the more you discover the strength of self-mastery. Because calmness doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough about yourself to move wisely. So take your time like your peace depends on it, because it does. Respond when you feel ready, when your heart is steady and your emotions are quiet. Let your timing show that you are not desperate. You are deliberate. The one who values you will wait. The one who only wanted quick attention will fade. And trust me, you want the one who's still standing when your silence ends, not the one who only knocked once and ran away. Now here's the truth most people skip over. Not every message deserves your energy. Not every hey needs an answer. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. Because silence is not emptiness, it's protection. It filters out who's real and who's not. It separates those who want attention from those who want connection. It makes people reflect on how their absence felt. And that's when you take your time to observe what happens next. Does he follow up respectfully or does he disappear again? Does he try to rebuild communication with honesty? Or does he expect everything to fall back into place like before? When you take your time, you give people room to show their truth. And trust me, they always do. Taking your time also allows you to measure your own growth. Because sometimes, after sitting with that message long enough, you realize something powerful. You don't even want to respond anymore. You realize that peace feels better than closure. That silence feels better than small talk. That your energy is too sacred to waste on uncertainty. And that right there is when you know you've grown. When you realize that you don't need to go back to what broke you just because it came knocking again. So if he reaches out, take your time. Read the message. Then put the phone down. Go live your life. Go do something that fills you instead of drains you. Because the moment you stop centering your energy around people who left, you start attracting the ones who will stay. Ladies and gentlemen, let's be clear. Timing is everything. Not just when to respond, but when to walk away. When to protect your peace. When to recognize that your story has already moved forward, and not everyone from your past deserves a role in your future. You owe no one your instant response. You owe no one your quick forgiveness. You owe no one your emotional labor just because they remembered you. You owe yourself peace. You owe yourself patience. You owe yourself protection. And when you start honoring those three things, everything changes. You stop chasing closure and start choosing clarity. You stop begging for effort and start demanding consistency. You stop proving your worth and start living it. Because, Queen, when calm meets clarity, you become untouchable. When peace becomes your priority, you become magnetic. You stop reacting to every vibration from the past, and you start creating the frequency of your future. So let the phone ring. Let the message wait. Let the world wonder. You move at your own pace, on your own time, with your own power. Because when you control your timing, you no longer need anyone else to define your worth. And remember this, silence is not the absence of power. It is the presence of strength. So stay calm, stay grounded, stay whole. Because when the past comes knocking, your peace will be the voice that answers first. And that voice, ladies and gentlemen, will say, I am not who I was. I am wiser now. My peace is my priority. My silence is my protection. And my timing is sacred.